Namaste, welcome, and thank you all for joining us for this second session of our 3-session Zoom webinar, The Journey to Joy. My name is Vineet Chander, and I direct the Hindu Life program at Princeton University and serve as the Hindu chaplain at Princeton. Our webinar is co-sponsored by the Dharmic Life program at Georgetown University, by Hindu Life at Yale University, and by Tufts University Hindu Chaplaincy. And I'm grateful to be joined by my colleagues from these esteemed institutions. Some may wonder why we have convened this somewhat unusual gathering of renowned spiritual teachers at this time, and that too on the topic of joy. After all, we are in the midst of a global pandemic. More than 2 million people have lost their lives to COVID-19 worldwide, and more than 400,000 of those lives were lost in the US. And these numbers are expected to rise rapidly. Also here in the US, we've experienced unprecedented political division and racial strife. We've witnessed an insurrection on the US Capitol for the first time in our nation's history. We continue to see violence brutally exacted, particularly on Black and brown bodies, and a rise in hatred and white supremacy. Most ironically, perhaps, we have endured much of this while having to be distanced from one another and while unable to share basic, simple human contact. And many of us have struggled with feelings of social isolation and emotional disconnection. Now more than ever, we feel that there is a palpable need for spiritual solace and a hunger for insights to help us overcome anxiety and loneliness, to discover purpose, peace of mind, and contentment. Perhaps it is only from this place of contentment that we can effectively reach out to be agents of good and ambassadors of well-being to others in the world around us. And so in this spirit, and with this aim in mind, we are excited to host this special online educational experience. We're so honored to have with us 4 spiritual giants to help us navigate this badly needed journey to joy. As I shared yesterday in our first session, these teachers are not merely popular leaders or eloquent speakers, although they are those things. But on a deeper level, their words are energized by the fact that they are committed sadhakas who draw on years of dedicated practice, study, and realization to share the wisdom that they have imbibed with others. Each of our speakers are situated in traditions of substance, parampara, and each have humbled themselves before their own teachers and have deeply imbibed the wisdom of those who came before them. What they share with us today in this webinar is in this mood of serving and uplifting others and of paying forward the gifts and grace that they have received themselves. In the first session, we heard from Swami Sarvapriyananda and Sadhvi Bhagavati Saraswati. This morning, we will hear from Sister B.K. Shivani and Radhanath Swami. Each speaker will speak for 30 to 40 minutes. And in our final session tomorrow on Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern, we will welcome back all 4 of our speakers for a special open Q&A session. In the interest of time, we humbly request that you please save your questions for that final session. Now I'd like to call on my dear colleague and friend, Dr. Preeta Bannerjee, Hindu Religious Life Advisor and Chaplain at Tufts University, to introduce our first speaker for this session. Preeta?
Thank you, Vineet. Thank you, everyone, for including me on this journey to joy. It is my utter joy to introduce Sister B.K. Shivani ji. Brahmakumari B.K. Shivani Verma, affectionately known as Sister Shivani, is a renowned spiritual educator, public speaker, and spiritual role model who has inspired countless people with her presentations on practical wisdom. Sister Shivani was born and raised in Pune and attended Pune University, where she studied software engineering. A very good student with a natural love for science, she went on to start a software business after graduating from college. She also served as a lecturer at Bharatiya Vidyapith College for 3 years in Pune. It was at this time in her life that Sister Shivani Ji's spiritual journey took a significant turn. While still in college, inspired by her mother's transformation to the practice of Raj Yoga, and with her mother's encouragement, she began to attend the local Brahmachari center herself. Soon, she was diligently studying the Raj Yoga path of that tradition, applying the same rigorous scientific inquiry to discerning the presence of God in the world and in her life. Today, Sister Shivani Ji serves as a senior Raj Yoga teacher while living in family life based in Pune. In the past decade, she has traveled extensively around India and globally on behalf of Brahmakumaris for spiritual ceremonies and conferences organized by leading academic institutions, corporations, and NGOs. Fusing spiritual insight with practical wisdom, she speaks on topics ranging from relationship management to law of karma to cultivating happiness and emotional health. In 2017, she was named as a Goodwill Ambassador of the World Psychiatric Association. Perhaps Sister Shivani Ji is most well known for the teaching she shares in the immensely popular Awakening with Brahma Kumari's television series on Ashta Television beginning in 2007. She has recorded many episodes on living values, self-management, inner power, self-discipline, and spirituality. Her teaching continues to resonate with diverse audiences through her YouTube channel called BK Shivani. Hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions, benefit from the practical wisdom shared by Sister Shivani in a simple way, including my own mother who's listening today. We are honored to have you, Shivani Ji.
Om Shanti and greetings of peace. Let's take a minute of silence, asking ourselves the simple question: what is happiness for me? And where do I look for it? Doesn't matter what everyone else is saying. I need to first ask myself. I know the answer. It's just that I was not asking myself. What is happiness for me? And who is the creator of that experience for me? And in this very moment, as I pause and reflect, I have started creating the experience. And what I create is radiating into the vibrations of the universe. And I'm radiating peace and happiness into the universal consciousness. This is what I'm doing in every moment of my life. I'm creating, radiating, and influencing the collective consciousness of the planet. Second question I ask myself: what is it that I would like to radiate into the world? I only need to create it. It's as simple as that. Om Shanti. Joy, happiness, bliss, peace. They're words. We need to ask ourselves, have I experienced these words? Is it something that I'm looking for outside? Or is it my own personality? It's my nature. And I only need to create it to experience it. In order to experience this feeling, I need to first know, who am I? And that's the basis of spirituality. That is the foundation of Raj Yoga. Because once I have the right answer for who am I, everything else will fall into place. When I look at my identity as physical, the body, my name, my relationships, my nationality, my religion, my caste, my role, my position, everything that I have achieved, a baby born, the baby born still doesn't have a name. And then the name, and then the relationship, and then the education, and then the role, the position, the possessions. It's a lifetime of achieving and achieving. And everything that we achieve is actually mine. Even the body is my body. But then who is the I who is saying, this is my body, this is my role, this is my degree, this is my position? That I, the energy. Am I aware of this during the day? In my day-to-day activities, am I aware that this is the I and everything else is mine? Because if I forget the I, then I will look for everything who I am. Everything I look for it outside and everything that is mine. And so if I ask myself, where do I look for my happiness? It would be something outside, whether it's in my achievements, whether it's in my possessions, whether it is what I'm getting from people in my relationships, whether it's in the health of my body. So we find people saying, if I'm healthy, then I will be happy. If I have beautiful relationships, then I will be happy. If I achieve what I want to be, then I will be happy. So the equation went wrong. It went like, if I achieve everything outside, then I will be happy. So we thought the energy was flowing from outside in. And so we were working really hard to achieve outside, which is good. But that is an achievement that is outside. But this is I. And so spirituality introduces me to myself, that everything that I have achieved is extremely important, but it is outside, it's my achievement. But the I, which in spiritual language we can call it soul, Atma, spirit, consciousness, light, power, different words. Most important is the understanding that I is the energy. I use this body of matter, and then I achieve and play my roles and responsibilities. So, who is the one who is going to experience that happiness? It's I, the energy. And the happiness is a feeling. So, when I say to myself, I will be happy when I eat this thing, I will be happy when I buy this thing, I will be happy when I reach a certain position, I need to pause and ask myself, is the food going to give me the happiness? No, the food is going to give me taste. It's going to give health to my body. But when I create a thought that I like this particular thing that I've eaten, it's the thought that allows me to feel good. So happiness is in the way I'm going to think about everything that's happening in my life. It's here. So spirituality introduces me to two things. One, I am this energy, Atma, consciousness. And second, very, very important thing, my original nature, my original sanskar is peace, love, joy, happiness, bliss, wisdom, purity. Sato Guni Atma, which means every soul innately has these seven qualities of purity, peace, power, love, happiness, knowledge, and bliss. It is my original nature. And look at where we've reached today. We have forgotten who I am and we've forgotten that it's my nature. So I'm looking for it everywhere outside because I forgot that this is who I am. So when I get to know who I am, I also get to know that everything that I was looking for outside is my nature. Now, the purpose of my life is to remember that my experience of what I'm looking for, that is peace, happiness, love, my experience lies in two factors: the karma that I do throughout the day and the sanskar that I create. So now I start focusing on these two things. The sanskar. Sanskar means my nature, my personality. But the most accurate word is in Hindi. It's sanskar. There's actually no English translation for it. What is sanskar? I, the energy, when I think, I'm creating thoughts. That's called the mind. Then the intellect. It evaluates my thoughts and then takes a decision. And then, as is my decision, so I come into action. So just look at this simple process plant that's going on inside. I create thoughts, I evaluate my thoughts, I take a decision, and then I come into action. Next time, I again create thoughts, I take a decision, I come into action. If I take the same decision a couple of times and I come into action the same way a couple of times, it becomes my habit, which is called sanskar. Once it becomes my sanskar, I surpass the first two stages of creating thoughts, taking a decision. I just come out through my sanskar. Now, over a period of last 2-3 decades, we have created sanskars or habits or nature of stress, of worry, of anxiety, of fear, of jealousy, criticism, comparison, complaining. These are sanskars. These are sanskars. It's nature here. It's our sanskars. It's our personality traits. It's a habit of the way of thinking. But our original sanskars are purity, peace, love, power, happiness. Now let's look at these two set of sanskars. One is my original set of sanskars and one is my set of sanskars which I have created. Now I have both. I have both. So if I look at this like a CD, I have both the playlists of songs over there. Now comes a scene in my life and I have to respond to that scene of my life. I have to choose. Am I going to respond with peace or am I going to respond with my sanskar of stress? If I choose to respond with my sanskar of stress, I will experience stress at that time because I am choosing my sanskar of stress in response to the scene. And if I keep doing that repeatedly, then the sanskar of stress is predominant and the sanskar of peace gets merged. And then I start looking for peace outside because I'm not using what I have inside. If I keep using my sanskar of anger, then my sanskar of anger becomes predominant. My sanskar of compassion gets merged. So we all have these 7 original sanskars, but because we have been using these acquired sanskars, which are disturbing sanskars, we are looking for our original sanskars outside. So the first thing that I need to remind myself, I'm not going to look for happiness and peace, joy and love outside. I'm not going to ask people for it. It is my original quality. All I need to do is respond to every scene through that sanskar which I have. Simple example. Early in the morning, I take out my car, leave for work. Simple. But I estimated that I will reach in a particular amount of time, but I get stuck. There is a traffic jam. It's a very typical situation. Now, even in those few minutes, I have a choice whether to remain calm or whether to create stress, anxiety, get disturbed. I have a choice. This choice is spiritual power. But many of us believe I don't have a choice. And we just create anxiety, agitation. And when asked, we say it was because of the traffic. So if I don't know who I am, I forget that I am a master of my life. I am the creator of every thought and feeling. Then I shift from choosing how to respond to situations. I shift to just reacting to the situation. And because I keep reacting to the situation, it is the energy of the situation and the people's behavior which overpowers me. And every time it overpowers me, my spiritual power starts depleting and I stop using my original qualities. And the more I keep looking for them outside. In the same situation, whether it's as simple as a traffic jam, whether it is as simple as a wrong word from a very close relationship, it's as simple as a target at work, or it is a COVID. These are all situations. The magnitude of the situation varies, but the equation of life remains the same, that this is an outer situation. The outer situation does not decide my inner feeling. It is I who am the creator of the feeling in response to the situation. So the spiritual equation is Sankalp se Srishti. Sankalp is thought and Srishti is my world. So Sankalp se Srishti means I create my world through my thoughts. We are living the other way around. We believe that the world creates my thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and therefore to be happy, I want the world to be perfect and perfect my way. My family should be my way. My people should be my way. Everything should be my way for me to be happy. This is the life of a victim, complete dependency on people's behaviors and situations to be able to be happy because I'm not creating my sanskar of happiness on my own. I'm wanting situations to be my way. So it's a life of a dependency, life of a victim. But when I'm aware that I am the master of this body, I am the master of these sense organs, I am a happy soul, I am a loveful soul. I am a blissful soul. I only need to use that sanskar in my every situation today. Now, initially, when the situation comes during the day, I will say, but how can I be calm here? I just have to remind myself, this is my nature, and I will respond through this sanskar. And when I do it, even if it is for a moment, in that moment, I have created peace, I have experienced it, and whatever I create, it radiates from me out into the vibrations of the world. This is extremely important that who we are is not just inside, but who we are influences the collective vibrations of this planet. If we look at what we have done in the last 1 year, yes, there was COVID. Yes, there is an epidemic. Yes, there is a physical health crisis. But most of us said fear and anxiety is normal. And when billions of minds create fear and anxiety, then the vibrational frequency of the planet was fear and anxiety. And then many minds got influenced by that. Many bodies got influenced by that. The planet needed healing energy. But because we were living with the wrong equation, that the world creates my feelings, and we said crisis outside, fear and anxiety is normal. Spirituality says crisis outside, calm and stability is normal. Create it, radiate it, and change the vibration of the planet. So we shift from living like a victim to situations to becoming a master of the situation. And once we start doing that, we can create calm and stability, happiness in every scene of life. In absolutely every scene of life, we can be calm and stable here. So, the purpose of our life is to take care of two things: sanskar and karam. Sanskar and karam, which means every thought I create, every word I speak, every behavior is getting recorded here. It's my karam. It's my karam. And as will be my karam, so will be my sanskar. And as will be my karam and sanskar, so will be my destiny. so will be my destiny. And destiny means my experience, the way I experience my life. Destiny is not what is happening to me. Destiny is how I am perceiving and feeling about what is happening to me. What is happening to me may not always be perfect, may not always be perfect. But what I am perceiving and how I am creating my experience, that can be stable, calm, always perfect, always perfect. So joy and happiness is possible always, every moment. Why? Because it is my original nature. It's my original nature. I do not have to look for it outside. It is who I am. Let's look at some very, very simple things that we can do in order to be able to create this always. One is to know it, but the second is to be able to create it always, not just when things are perfect, but always. Some simple practices so that I shift from knowing what is all outside, but I also shift from knowing what is going on inside. So, first thing is to know that I am the master of this body, the soul. Second is to know what is my original nature. This is something I need to remind myself every single day, many, many times in the day. I am a happy being, not I want happiness. It's very important. Today, our vocabulary is I am stressed, I am depressed. Sometimes we're saying, I am depressed. And then we're saying, I want happiness. So when it comes to I am, we are putting negative emotions. And when we say, I want, we're looking for our original sanskar. Equation went wrong. So from today, I am, fill in the blank. Never write anything which is not your original nature. Only those 7 qualities. Again, repeat: purity, peace, power, happiness, love, bliss, knowledge. 7 qualities. So I am a happy soul. I am a loveful soul. I am a powerful soul. Powerful means situations and people's behavior cannot affect me here. Look at our vocabulary nowadays. I'm irritated because of, I'm angry because of, I'm hurt because of. We even say they hurt me. This is a victim. Someone's behavior cannot hurt me. They cannot get me inside here and hurt me. I am creating those thoughts of hurt, but we say they hurt me. So living a life of blame only because we did not know who I am. So spirituality first introduces us to ourselves. And when we start creating this beautiful relationship with ourselves, reminding ourselves who we are, then after that, it is very simple to create the right sanskar and the right karma in every scene of life. Now, how do I practice this on a daily basis? Basic spiritual principles. Most important is the first hour of the morning. The first hour of the morning is extremely important. The first thought when we wake up is extremely important because spirituality and meditation is a lifestyle. It's not few minutes, few hours. It's a lifestyle. But that lifestyle begins with our morning. Our morning has to begin on the right vibration. Now ask yourself, what's the first thing you do when you open your eyes? For many of us, we're looking at our phones as the first thing in the morning. First thing. The first thought of the morning should be connecting to the supreme power. Because we've just woken up, the conscious layer of the mind is silent, the subconscious mind is activated. The first thought I create, the first energy that I connect to is going to go deep down into my subconscious. Is that the time for me to switch on my phone and look at what the world has to say today? Whether it's the world news, whether it's my messages, whether it's my work emails, all of them are important, but not in the first 1 hour. In the first 1 hour, I don't consume the world. In the first 1 hour, I energize myself to influence the world. There are 2 ways of living. If I keep consuming the world, then I will keep becoming more what the world is, and the world will keep becoming more of that. But if I energize myself by connecting to the divine power and emerge my original sanskar, then I radiate that to the world and I influence and have the power to change the world. So the first hour of the morning is extremely important. Experiment with it as a simple habit just for 1 month. Postpone your phone for 1 hour. First 60 minutes is an appointment for myself. First few thoughts of the morning, very important. Let's begin the morning with gratitude. Gratitude to the supreme power, gratitude to the mind and body, gratitude to people, gratitude to nature, gratitude to your work, gratitude to the world. You will be creating joy in your first few thoughts of the morning. And if the first few thoughts of the morning are of the highest vibrational frequency, then that's where you will be during the day. But if I wake up the first thought and say, I'm late, this, then I am starting on a very lower vibration. So the beginning is extremely important. So the first few thoughts connecting to the supreme power, who I remember in my first thought in the morning, I will get connected to their vibrational frequency. So gratitude. Then meditation. Many of us already learn and practice meditation. Some are thinking of meditation, but some of us believe that meditation is very difficult and that we cannot do it. Meditation is very simple. It's the simplest thing to do. It's very simple. It's just that probably we haven't yet, worked on. We haven't done it yet. So we think it's very difficult because when we look at the pictures, we see closing our eyes and concentrating and we try and do it. And then we say, but I can't. My mind keeps scattering and it goes here and there. Meditation is not about becoming thoughtless. We cannot become thoughtless. We can slow down our thoughts. We can create one thought and hold on to it for a very long time, but we cannot become thoughtless. So don't try and make yourself thoughtless because when you're not able to do it, you give up on meditation and then you say, I cannot do it. Even if you're not meditating, a very simple thing that you can start, which is actually the first stage of meditation. What is meditation? Is creating a powerful thought, which we call a powerful affirmation, then visualizing that, and third, experiencing that. The world has used the power of affirmation and visualization to create miracles in the outer world, whether it's actors, sports stars, doctors, leaders, children for their exams. They use the power of affirmation and visualization to create miracles in the outside world. Meditation means to use the power of affirmation and visualization to create miracles in the inner world. Not just for what I want to do, but for who I want to be. So, the first few thoughts that we can start in our meditation till we really learn how to do it is, if I take up a simple thought today, I am a happy soul. And I just take that thought and I visualize myself, a tiny point of light here. I am a happy soul. And now I start seeing myself, master of this body, in charge of all my sense organs. I am a happy soul, untouched by the vibrations of people and situations. Then I connect to the supreme power, the ocean of happiness, the ocean of bliss, and I visualize myself absorbing that ocean into here. I'm connected to the supreme power. So, when we start experiencing this in the first few minutes of the morning, a very personal relationship with the divine, connecting to that supreme power, emerging my original nature, that's the time when we've energized the soul, emerged the original sanskar, and that's ready for the day now. It's ready for the day. So, the first few minutes, gratitude, the next few minutes, meditation, and third, spiritual study. Spiritual study. Who we are is influenced by what we watch, read, and listen. Why is there so much of stress and anxiety and anger and fear in our emotions, whereas we want happiness? Then why are we creating such disturbed emotions? Because we are consuming that quality content. So if somebody had to draw a graph of media, social media versus emotional mental health of society, you'll see a direct connection. So third equation to always remember, what I watch, what I read, what I listen is who I start becoming. So at least 30 minutes in the morning, at least 30 minutes, that's minimum in the morning of Gyan. Gyan means spiritual study. Spiritual study, that is also content consumption, but consuming content of purity, of divinity, of faith, of compassion, of gratitude, of acceptance. Content consumption, it is nourishment. It's nourishment for the soul. It's our emotional diet. This is our 1 hour in the morning. Now, 1 hour before going to sleep, and if I want to emerge these beautiful sanskars, I also need to take care of my sleeping times. There is a right time for everything. Today we are doing everything, but we say time doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as I sleep my 6 hours. So some of us are sleeping at night, some of us are sleeping in the morning, some of us are sleeping in the day. But we say as long as I'm sleeping my 6 hours, nature. Everything has to go as per laws of nature. The right time to sleep and the right time to wake up, which is the highest energy in time. So the right time to sleep should be by 10 o'clock. And if you sleep at 10, you will automatically wake up by 4. You will not need an alarm. You will not need a snooze button. You will automatically wake up in a very energized way because you have slept right. It's very important to sleep right because that's going to influence my state of mind throughout the day. If I do not sleep right, then I'm fatigued in my mind. Then I get agitated and irritated and stressed during the day. So it's very important to sleep right. At least an hour before we sleep, disconnect again from world content, which means television, media, phones, everything disconnect. Be with yourself, contemplate on the day, check your responses to situations, introspect and rewind and respond again in your mind in case you have responded not the right way during the day so that you can do your coding here the right. Release any uncomfortable emotion. Forgive people before you go to sleep if you did not forgive them that same minute when they did something which was not your way. Forgive before you go to sleep. Do not hold on to pain. If I hold on to any grudge, any hurt, and I go to sleep, after that it's gone into the deeper layers. That's when we say, but I cannot forget. Why I cannot forget? Because I did not release before going to sleep. So sleep is also meditation. That's why it's called yoga nidra, meditative sleep. So we need to clean our mind before we go to sleep, at least for 15-20 minutes. Again, spiritual study before we sleep, because the last layer of content that will go onto my mind will be what will be processed during my 6 hours of sleep. At least another 10-15 minutes of meditation, which means releasing everything, energizing my mind, and preparing for a very deep, powerful sleep so that even during our sleep, we are radiating joy to the world. If I am disturbed in my mind, then even during our sleep, we are radiating vibrations of stress and anxiety to the world. It is our moral responsibility, not just for ourselves, but for the world that we are creating. So, sleep, prepare for sleep, not just fall off to sleep. And so, meditation and spiritual study before sleeping, and meditation and spiritual study first thing that when we wake up. These are the two times which we need to dedicate to energize ourselves. Like we dedicate so much time to take care of our body, of relationships, of work, we need to dedicate, commit time to take care of ourself. The self is very important because it's only there that I can create and experience happiness and joy. Now let's come to during the day. Now we become Karam Yogi during the day. Karam Yogi. So some of us say, I'm a Karam Yogi. Karam Yogi means my work is my meditation. Work is not meditation. If I'm creating stress during work, how can that be meditation? So Karam Yogi does not mean work is meditation. Karam Yogi means working with a meditative mind. Same peace, calm, tranquility in the mind, even if I'm accomplishing the toughest of tasks outside. But the mind is untouched by the vibration of the task. It is the soul which is influencing the vibration of the task. It is the soul who's connected to the Supreme Power even during the day to day activities. Karam Yogi, which means a yogi, a meditator, even while coming into karma, will be performing the elevated karma always, because every karma has a consequence. If I meditate in the morning, if I study, but if I do not do my right karma during the day, then the consequence will not be right. And if I do not earn the right energy, I cannot be happy. So the spiritual principle is for you to be happy always. Your karma should be such which radiates blessings to all, and where you receives blessings by every karma what you do, which means duain dena and duain lena, giver of blessings, receiver of blessings. Like to achieve physical comforts, it is work and earn money. Similarly, to experience happiness and bliss, right karma, creating blessings for all, receiving blessings in return, which is called seva bhav. Everything that we are doing is seva. So four pillars of spirituality is Gyan, Yog, Dharana, Seva. Gyan is study, Yoga is meditation, Dharana means bringing out that original sanskar in my every karma. I've inculcated the Gyan. And fourth is Seva. Seva means giving. Giving. Even if I'm a business leader, it is seva. That means by every karma that I'm creating, I am giving to the world. I'm giving. Through my every thought, I'm giving to the world. To my every word, I'm giving to the world. When I know who I am, I will shift from being wanting, desires never ending, to being contented and to being a giver to the world. So once I prepare myself in the morning, then during the day, my consciousness will be, I am a giver. Seva bhav. Seva is not just sometimes during the day. Everything that we are doing is giving to the world, not wanting, no expectations, only giving and giving. Seva bhav is the simplest way to be happy and joyful always. So taking care of every karma that we do, we are karam yogis. Another very important principle is the diet that we have, because the food that we eat does not just affect our body. It's not just nutrition for the body, it's vibration for the soul. If I consume a diet which has pain, which has suffering, which has violence, which has death, then I have consumed the vibrations of pain, fear, anxiety, violence, and death. If I consume those vibrations, how will I create vibrations of joy and happiness? We are what we eat. So the food that we eat is also creating vibrations for us. So it's very important to have a sattvic diet. Sattvic diet means a vegetarian diet. Sattvic diet means cooked in the right state of mind. Meditative cooking and mindful eating. Very, very important to experience that bliss always. Meditative cooking and mindful eating, which means no television, no phone while cooking, while eating. Only high energy words and high energy vibrations while you are cooking. It's His power. There is power in our diet if we take care of how we cook. So while cooking, you can meditate, pray, just recite high energy words while you're cooking, listen to high energy words while you're cooking, and then before you eat, you pause, again connect to the divine power, repeat your morning meditative thoughts. I am a happy, powerful being. Energize your food with that divine energy and now have that diet. That diet will become nourishment not just for the body, but it also energizes the soul. So the diet is very important, very, very important to create this spiritual power. And the fourth thing is the way we earn our money. Money is very important, not just for physical comforts, but the way we earn our money is the first energy that comes into the house. So, four energies: dhan, an, man, and tan. Dhan, money; an, food; man, mind; tan, body. So the dhan, the currency, the money that's coming into the house is going to be used to buy the food, the an. If my money that I earn is not coming with the energy of contentment and blessings, then the food that is cooked in my house will not carry the right vibration. So money is also needs to be pure. So which means ethical practices, but a work culture where there is happiness, where there is contentment, where people are happy working will bring happy energy money into the house. It's very, very important. If people are stressed at work, if people are agitated at work, people who are working with me, for me, that I'm earning a lot of money, but that earning that money is not coming with an energy of calm and ease. So it's very important that the money comes with a very, very clean, beautiful, pure energy. Then the food, the an is sattvic. Then my mind, my morning begins with energizing the soul. Then the tan, body will always be healthy. And when all these four parameters are taken care of, and I'm taking care of my every karma, then living a life where my every thought, word, and behavior is from my sanskar of purity, happiness, and bliss will become a natural way of living. It's not to be searched outside. It's here. We only need to use it, create it, and remember when we are creating it, we are radiating it to the world. And together we can shift the vibration of the world. We cannot just sit across our TV screens and phones and say, look what's happening to the world. Who's going to change the world? Sankalp se srishti. Our thoughts create the world. We have the power to change the world simply by creating a shift here. So a shift here is going to change the vibration of the world. So together, let's take responsibility that once I create the shift here, I am going to become an instrument to creating a shift in the world. We are the creators of our world. We are the creators of the world, and we have the power to raise the vibrational frequency of the world and create a paradigm shift, not just for our lives, but for the world. For the world. That's the power that we have. Thank you so much. Om Shanti. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Sister Shivani ji, for that beautiful and inspiring presentation, so much practical wisdom. And I'm so moved by this idea of what it means to really be a karma yogi, what it really means to live in that way where we're experiencing joy and we're radiating joy in that seva bhav, as you spoke to so beautifully. Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to my dear colleague and brother, Brahmachari ji, who will introduce our next speaker, His Holiness Radhanath Swami.
Thank you, Vineet ji, and thank you to Princeton's Hindu Life program for arranging this beautiful start to what is another virtual semester, especially here in Georgetown. So this is definitely one of the highlights of the beginning of the semester. And also thank you for giving me the honor of introducing today's eminent speaker. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gata sapantha. The essence of Dharma is hidden in the hearts of the self-realized. So the path to betterment is that which has first been walked by these elevated beings. I'd like for us to keep the words of these words of Vanparva 313.117 of the Mahabharata in our minds through this short introduction. Sri Radhanath Swamiji is a sannyasi of the Gaudiya tradition, one of the many traditions of Vaishnava Dharma. Swamiji was born in Chicago, United States. Near the end of his teenage years, he was participating in the civil rights movements of the late 60s and early 70s when he had a realization. Social transformation begins with personal change. And so, at age 19, he embarked on a quest for meaning in life that had him hitchhiking his way across Europe and the Middle East until he found himself in Nepal and then India. He met and conversed with numerous gurus, some self-proclaimed and some authentic, but it was in the holy land of Sri Vrindavan Dham that he met his own spiritual teacher, Sri Abhay Charanaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami, who most of us will know as Prabhupada, the founder of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. After his studies in spiritual practice under the guidance of the master, he took the message of Bhakti Yoga far and wide. Swamiji is an eminent speaker and a New York Times best-selling author. But he is also the founder and coordinator of numerous spiritual communities across the world, the most prominent being the Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Mandir in Mumbai, India. The numerous hospitals, orphanages, the Govardhan Eco Village, farms, schools, emergency relief programs, the Bhakti Center in New York, and the list continues, all are testament to the fact that Swamiji stayed true to his initial insight, that social transformation begins with personal change. In changing the colors of his heart to include those beautiful hues of the groves of Sri Vrindavan Dham, Swamiji has been directly involved in the transformation of millions of lives. Recognizing this, Swamiji has responded to invitations to speak at the British Parliament, National Geographic, the Bank of England, numerous corporate houses, universities such as Oxford, Cambridge, Princeton, and many more. With his vast experience of serving the world in the mood of devotional bliss, we are indeed fortunate to be able to listen to Swamiji as he discusses the journey to joy, discovering your purpose and serving the world. Shri Swamiji Maharaj.
Om Mokyantimidandasya Gyananchana Chalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I am sincerely grateful to be among everyone today. My special gratitude to the organizers of this wonderful event, and to each and every one of you who have given your precious time to be here. The title of this conference is Journey to Joy. Everyone in life is on this journey, taking various paths. Everyone is seeking pleasure. It is something that we all have in common. The idea of unity in diversity is an essential truth in order to find and inspire peace within ourselves and within the world around us. In order to really appreciate all the diversity there is in the world, it is important to understand the unity that is foundational to life itself. Everyone is seeking pleasure. From the little ant that's crawling on the kitchen cabinet, to the rat that's lurking in the city alleyways, the monkeys and the trees of the jungles, and the insect that's drinking our blood, and every variety of humanity. Everyone is seeking pleasure. It's common. From a spiritual perspective, we wonder and study why we all have this in common. The Vedanta Sutra tells Ananda Mayo Bhyashat that the essential truth of the soul and of the Supreme Soul is to enjoy pleasure. We have a physical body. We have an ever-changing mind. We have a very fastidious ego. But the witness, the true person that is experiencing life is the spirit. It is the soul. The Sanskrit texts tell us that the nature of the soul, it is Sat Chit Ananda. Beyond birth and death, it is eternal. Inherently, it's filled with essential knowledge. And most important, in and of ourselves, in our connection to the Supreme Self or God, we are filled with Ananda or pleasure. Ananda Mayo Bhyashat. When in this material experience, we forget who we truly are and what we really want, we fall into the complications of dualities, because this entire material creation is built on the principle of dualities. And you cannot have one without the other. Like a coin has a heads and a tails. You cannot say, I want the head but not the tails. If you pick up the coin, you get both. There's happiness and distress, honor and dishonor, pleasure and pain, love and hate, success and failure, victory and defeat, health and disease. This is material nature. The spiritual path is teaching us to find the happiness that we're seeking in that place that is natural to the soul, beyond the dualities of this material nature. We cannot always change the situations we're in, how people treat us, or the environment. But we always do have the opportunity to choose to change ourselves. As Sister Shivani has so wonderfully presented these very deep, universal truths. She explained how this inner change is the universal principle that all spiritual paths have in common. In the Holy Bible, Lord Jesus tells, what profiteth a person who gains the whole world but loses their eternal soul? The spiritual connection that we make is available to everyone if we choose to do so. How to adjust to a situation according to how we can grow and best serve. In California, they have a sport called surfing, where people go on boards and they try to ride on top of waves. You cannot control the wave, but you can do two things. Keep the goal of your destination, which is the shore, and at every moment, adjust ourselves to whatever the wave is doing, and whatever wave comes, keep adjusting ourselves so that we can move forward. On a ship that's in the middle of the ocean, there is a compass. There is the North Star. These are signs that help us to always, in any situation, move in the direction that we really feel is the meaningful purpose of life. When a little baby first starts growing teeth, it's actually very painful. The baby cries. But for the parents, they feel the baby's pain, but at the same time, they know it's part of growing. And after the pain passes and the teeth grow, then their child will have nice teeth to enjoy eating so much food and becoming nourished in so many ways. This spiritual science teaches us how to adjust our perception and how we respond to situations in such a way that we're always finding the opportunity to grow. We're always coming closer to our own soul and to God. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells that real intelligence is to understand and apply to life the idea that real happiness, real enlightenment is within ourselves. The Bhagavad Gita tells, Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richchati. That real peace is to understand that the Supreme God, the Father, the Mother of all living beings, the source of everything, the ultimate object of love and the ultimate lover, that Supreme Being is the proprietor of everything. This entire creation is God's property. Therefore, Om Purnam Ada Purnamidam, everything is inherently sacredness. Do we recognize its sacredness? Whatever spiritual path we may be on, if these essential goals are not strive for and connected with, then we're not really going in the right direction. The environment is not ours to exploit. The environment is sacred property that not only belongs to God, but is inherited by everyone, all living beings. To live in harmony with that principle is so very important. And this verse in the Gita tells that that supreme being, who we call Krishna, who has many names, is the eternal well-wisher of everyone. Aham bija pratapita. Everyone is a child of the Supreme. To recognize that and to live in harmony with that spirit is seva, or divine service. When we apply these principles to our life, then we can achieve real peace. Why? Because that is our nature. Vidyavanaya sampane brahmani kabihastini suni chaiva swapaki cha pandita samatarashana. To the degree we understand who we really are, we understand who everyone else is. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita tells that the testament of enlightenment is not just how many verses we know or how many followers we have or how many pujas we perform or how much charity we give. The real testimony of enlightenment is to the extent we can perceive the equality of all life. When we understand our own soul, we can understand and we can love the soul in all living beings. And the Gita tells whether that person is an elephant or a dog or a cat or an insect, or whether that person is a human who may be black or white or red or yellow or brown, maybe rich or poor, from the east or the west, maybe a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or a Buddhist or a Jain or a Sikh, or an agnostic or an atheist. These are all temporary stages within our life. But the Sanatan Dharma, the eternal principle, is that we are all eternal souls that are filled with inherent love for God. A particular verse, when I heard it, I dedicated my entire life to the principle of that verse. It's from the Bhagavad Purana. Savaipung sang parodharmo yatobhaktirat hokshaji. Ahoitaki apratihata yatma suprasidati. The supreme Dharma. Dharma is sometimes translated as religion, occupation, nature. The supreme Dharma is that which awakens from within us love for the Supreme Being. That love needs to be unmotivated by selfishness or egoism. And it needs to be unconditional not dependent on external circumstances, then this love completely satisfies the heart, the soul, the self. It's this love that ultimately everyone is seeking, but we're trying to find it in so many substitutes which distract us from its real place within our hearts. Things, power, acquisition, physical experiences of gratification, they can give some flickering amount of satisfaction to the body, the mind, but they do not give satisfaction to the heart. The sitting place for real happiness is in our hearts. To love and to be loved. It is only that love that gives fulfillment to the heart. The origin of that love is the all-beautiful, supreme grace of God. Krishna's love for us. This is at the very essence of spirituality. The Bible tells in the Old Testament and the New Testament that the first and great commandment is to love God with all our heart, all our mind, all our soul, with all our power. And what is the natural expression of that connection? We love our neighbor as ourself, because we recognize in God's love who we really are. Nothing and no one can ever take that love away from us. And really, that's all we need. Not disease, not social conditions, not even death can take that love away from us. It is who we are. It is the ultimate blessing that is forever given to us. When we make that connection, then karuna, then the purpose of our life and everything we do is to be an instrument of that love that we call compassion. Compassion is not just an idea. It's not just a thought. It's a way of life. And I have seen monks, swamis, priests. I've seen farmers and students, business people, industrialists, politicians. I've seen people who make this spirit of compassion their purpose in life, integrating God's love into everything they do. That is truly the art of living on the journey to joy. The idea of bhakti is universal, and it's very much at the essence of so many traditions. It's to find God's love within ourself. And it doesn't stay there. As long as we're embodied in this world, it becomes the joy of our life to share that love. It's the nature of love, is we want to make our loved ones happy. Para dukkha dukhi. To feel the pain of another, to feel for the sufferings of others, and to feel the happiness of others, and to be happy in their happiness, is what happens when we make that inner connection to the love of the soul. Selfishness is transformed into selfless service. Arrogance is transformed into humility. Indifference is transformed into compassion. We care. A spiritual path is a life of activism. But that activism is not based on any sectarian, divisive idea. It's based on the perception of the unity of life, of the sacredness of God's creation, and the sacredness of the inherent brotherhood and sisterhood of all beings. Today we are being connected through this internet. Through various types of frequencies and vibrations, we are all connected throughout the world. But it takes someone to actually log in to make that connection. Vineet sent me this Zoom link, and because I chose to make this connection, we could all be together. The idea of mantra, of bandhana, of prayer, of puja, of rendering loving service and worship, of seva, all of these spiritual practices are ways of connecting to the spiritual nature of ourself. Man means the mind. Trayate is Sanskrit. It means to liberate. A mantra is a sound vibration which liberates the mind from all of its misconceptions and frustrations and depressions and arrogance and anxiety. How does it do so? By, through sound vibration, reconnecting us to our own eternal living force, our soul, who we are. And in that connection, connecting us to the beauty, the sweetness, and the love of the all-pervading grace of God. When we tune in, then whether we're sleeping, as Sister Shivani was explaining so nicely, or whether we're working, whether we're speaking, whatever, we are emitting that love. We are motivated by that love. The Bhagavad Gita tells that selfish desires, kama, it's like fire. It's burning in our minds. And the more fuel you put on the fire, the hungrier the fire becomes. We need to find that place within ourselves that activates real happiness. Then we become activists. On the spiritual path, the journey within and our service, our activism into the world are inseparable. Because how we treat others, how we live in a spirit of compassion, how we live in harmony with the idea that every living being is a child of God, and all creation, the environment is God's gift. That very much determines how we connect to the soul within ourselves. At the same time, sadhana, a spiritual practice, is essential so that we can experience the truth of the reality of that eternal love that's within us. Satsang, to be with people who inspire us with faith in the direction that we want to go in our life. Sadhana, to put some sacred, special time aside every day to cultivate our inner awareness. In my tradition, we chant mantras, we chant God's names to tune in to God's grace. And then sadachar, then to live in harmony with those ideas by living with character, with integrity. And seva, to speak and to act with compassion as our goal of life. How I can be an instrument of compassion to all beings as far as possible is success, is wealth. It's not just how much we have or how much control we can exercise. Those things are flickering, they're coming and they're going, and they only burn our hearts. They don't give pleasure to the heart. The more we care about others, the more we want to find the treasures of God's grace within us to give to others. Satsang, to be with like-minded people who inspire us toward our goal. Sadhana, to give that time every day for that journey within ourselves through our spiritual practice. Sadachar, to live with goodness, with integrity, with character. Seva, to integrate the spirit of compassion to help others in whatever we do. It's a simple formula. I'm just going to end with a little story. The journey to joy. My very beloved brother and friend, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. He lived his life in this internal journey, and his way of expressing it through so much social activism to help others, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. In the last stage of his life on this earth, he had cancer. He was emaciated. He had a limb that was amputated. I had the very good fortune, the blessing to be with him during those last weeks. And I'm remembering one day we were sitting on chairs next to each other in his room. And on that day, the cancer was causing such profound pain. It seemed to be right in his bones, and his limbs were shaking. And usually we would discuss spiritual subjects, revealing our hearts to one another. But on this day, I could see that he wasn't focused. The pain was so much. So we began to chant. We began to chant this Maha Mantra together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And what I saw before my eyes changed my life forever. His eyes glistened in ecstasy. The smile on his face blossomed in a way that practically lit up the room, and it seemed to be lighting up the world. And he looked at me and shook his head and said, "It doesn't get any better than this." He said, "We are there." He said, "Today in this situation, I am tasting God's love so deeply. I'm tasting the sweetness of God's grace in the sound of this mantra. I wouldn't trade my situation for anyone." He was praying that everyone in the world could experience what he was experiencing. It was beyond all sectarian boundaries. It was the universal principle of the awakening of the love of the soul. And it was happening in the most diseased, painful, and materially hopeless condition. Because he was to leave his body within days after this. But he had achieved the destination of the journey of joy because he was experiencing God's love within himself, even in the most difficult circumstance. We learn from such people that this spiritual love that saints have been speaking about for millenniums, it's not just an idea, it's reality. It's the reality of your life, of my life, of all life. To integrate this reality, the journey to joy, the joy of being an instrument of God's love. It may be hard, it may be easy, things change, but we all have the opportunity in all situations to focus our consciousness on this, and then our perception of everything transforms, and in every situation we grow and we progress. Another dear friend and brother of mine, Sridhar Swami Maharaj, he was on his deathbed. And I remember he said, "In this world, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. When we have a strong spiritual foundation, whatever storms come around us, it cannot shake the integrity, the character of how we live, and the joy we want to share in our lives. I'm so very grateful for this opportunity to share some thoughts with all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Radhanath Swami Maharaj, for that powerful and heart-touching talk, that reminder that our journey to joy is a journey of experiencing love and then radiating and serving as instruments of that love. I'm so moved by both of these talks today and from our talks yesterday as well. And I want to invite everyone to really take the time to sit with this wisdom that has been shared, to process it, to internalize it, to meditate on it. As Sister Shivani ji so wonderfully shared with us and encouraged us to take that time to lean into gratitude, to reflect in meditation, to study and connect what we've heard in these last 2 days with perhaps other wisdom teachings that speak to us, and to endeavor to live that out in everything that we do. We have one more session as part of our webinar. So we invite everyone to join us for our final session. That will be tomorrow, beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And for those joining us from elsewhere, you can convert the time to see what it is in Indian Standard Time in the UK and elsewhere. But we do hope that you will be able to join us for our final session. Many of you have expressed your desire to ask some questions to our speakers. And so we're holding the entirety of the session tomorrow to be an open Q&A session where we can hear more from our speakers and ask for clarification, ask for whatever is on our minds and on our hearts. So please do join us. We also will be sending out the links to the recordings of all the sessions. So please look out for that. We will send that out shortly. And we encourage you, please, to also let friends and family know about this final session if they would like to join or if they would like to follow along on the YouTube live stream. On behalf of the Princeton University Hindu Life Program and the Office of Religious Life, I want to thank once again our co-sponsors at Georgetown University, at Yale University, and at Tufts University. I'd like to thank our esteemed special guest speakers, Radhanath Swami ji, Sister Shivani ji, and of course, Swami Sarvapriyananda and Sadhvi Bhagavati ji from yesterday. And I want to, from the core of my heart, thank all of you for being a part of this virtual community, this virtual satsang gathered together on this journey to joy. We thank you very much, and we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow for our final session.